Ken Czerniak, Sports Field Management at Florida Atlantic University, and this is how I take care of my celebration. We're verticutting with a greens mower, and then I will be coming back with a sweeper slash verticutter and sweeping it up and going another 2 ways on it. Then we'll be cutting it, dropping the height to cut down to a 1/2 inch, cutting that 2 ways, and then I will take a turf groomer for a synthetic field and drop that down and go in 2 directions with that to fluff the grass up even more, and then cut it at a 1/2 inch at least once more.
Why verticut so much for Celebration?
Just to keep it nice, keep it green, keep it thin, to just make it healthy. I think the shorter it is, the thinner it is, the healthier it is.
What do you mow yours at normally for game?
5/8.
5/8. If you let it get above that, what happens? What do you see with Celebration?
I just think it just gets very grainy. It gets high. You know, when it gets high, it starts getting a lot of I classify it as poofiness. It puffs up on you. So, you know, the big thing is, you know, cutting against the grain, sometimes cutting, you know, the pattern that you're doing to thin it out so it doesn't fluff up as bad.
Is that the biggest problem you notice with Celebration?
Is the fluffing up? Yes. I mean, a lot of people are cutting too high, I think, with the Celebration. The highest I think should be cut is at 3/4 of an inch.
And tell me about the field we're on now, the intramural fields. What kind of play does this field get?
Well, it virtually gets 365. I said this year they actually gave me 10 whole days 10 days off to get stuff that I need to get done. And so I double verticut it, double aerified it, top dressed it, and then really pumped it with fertilizer to try to get it back to where it needs to be just for playability wise.
Is there something special you do that you think makes all the difference with getting your fields ready, getting the Celebration fields ready?
I believe it's the verticutting. I mean, you know, aerification is always good too, but I believe the verticutting and then really top dressing them after the verticutting, I think really helps out more than top dressing it after you aerify.
Talk about aerating. Do you guys do that very often?
Probably all depending on what we do. I mean, we can go 2 to 3 cores and then 2 to 3 solid aerifications a year. So it's a possible 4 to 6 aerifications a year.
Okay.
With top dressing, probably 3 at a time with that.
Do you have any advice for maybe a high school grounds maintenance guy that doesn't quite have the time or the budget?
It's important to have a verticutter or have it budgeted to be verticut. But if not, I mean, if they have a synthetic field, they can use that synthetic groomer to groom it to knock it down, and or just a chain link mat to go against the grain to, you know, raise it up to get it knocked down so it don't get the puffiness or too thick.
Do you use growth regulators at all?
Yes.
And how often do you use them?
All depends on state of the year and whatever else. I mean, in the winter I hardly use them, but I mean, as soon as virtually, I'd say, all depending on our weather, if it gets up into the 80s real quick, it possibly the early April putting it down.
Why do you use Celebration? Why do you continue to use it?
Just the quick return of, when you verticut it, returns quick to you. Growth, you know, the lateral growth is just so much better to fill in the holes and, you know, to fill in the divots and everything else.
Were you a 419 guy in the past?
Yes.
We always say less fertilization is good with Celebration. You know, do you see that in reality in what you're seeing?
All depends on your field. It really does. I mean, if you got a high traffic field, you're going to have to put more fertilizer on it than other